Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to this untitled podcast
Still don't
that
have a title. Yep.
Kassarian and I have. My name is Carrington Hatton, and I'm on the call with Kassarian Spence. If you didn't catch my introduction from the first episode, I am a Maryland native. I've been here all my life. I live in Baltimore County. I'm a student at Towson University right now, studying law and a minor in theater. I love all things spirituality. I love all things personal growth and development. But yeah, that's just a little taste of what I'm like.
hmm And I am Kassarian Spence. I am from Baltimore County. That's where Carrington and I met. We homeschooled together. But I am currently living in Pittsburgh and attending Chatham University. I'm wearing some paraphernalia right now, but who knows if you guys are going to be able to see it. Um, yeah, and I'm a creative writing major. So, by all intents and purposes, I'm a storyteller. That's what I normally tell people is that I tell stories. I use he, him, his pronouns, and yeah, I guess we're gonna talk about dating today.
Yeah, I also use he, him pronouns, and I love that storyteller. I need a tagline like that I can use really easily.
For sure.
All right.
Yeah, that's definitely the way. I just realized I was like, after like telling people, they're like, oh, so like you write. I'm like, oh, well, I do a lot of things, but.
hmm Yeah, that's a good way to concisely put it. So, as far as relationships go, I think that it's a great idea for us to start with literally our story, but focused on romantic relationships. So, could you start with just lay it out. Tell us what happened.
Um, yeah, like our story, like,
Well,
but
no. Like, your
yeah.
personal story
Oh yeah,
for
like stories.
relationship.
Yeah. I mean, I'm active in the dating pool. I'm single right now.
Mhm.
I'm not like super like hyper into it. I don't know. Like my personal feelings about dating is that like I know everybody's like, oh yeah, like you're young, you should be having fun, and I'm like, yeah, but like I don't really because first and foremost, like I'm having sex, right? Like I'm not like I won't be like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
we're just like holding hands. Like I don't really want to be like having sex with somebody I don't really like vibe with like that. You know what I mean? So it's like a whole thing in itself. So like I'm active, but I'm not like super active. So I got out of a relationship back in April. It is now what October. Oh my God, it's October. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it's like October 22nd. Again, who knows when you guys are gonna be listening to this. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I mean, I don't know. The way that I look at relationships and stuff is, especially romantic dating. I think it's been like really weirdly commodified within the last couple of years. Like especially, I think that's possibly through media. Um, Maybe not social media, sure, but like I'm talking about like just like TVs, movies, and stuff. It's like, man, I see this person and they're hot, and then like, man, like I'm hot too, so like I just like look at the person and then boom, we're having sex. Like boom, like it's crazy. For me, it's like I don't know, like so that I feel like that commodification has like seeped its way into the popular like zeitgeist and thoroughly ingrained in a lot of people.
Mhm.
And I don't really like that. I mostly like to just like I don't know, like for instance, like my game, like there's supposed to be like you got like game, especially as like a man. Like
Yeah.
I have no game. Like and like having no game is my game. Like for a quick story, I woke up on
Uh-huh.
my the day after my 21st birthday.
Mhm.
Mind you, I'm drunk. Like me and the homies just threw up like shit. And like yeah, like we're groggy. We're like fuck, like we need food. So like
Uh-huh.
we go and get food, and then we walk back, and I see this beautiful woman. She's sitting on the porch, and I like, and I see her. I say hi. Like she has a beautiful voice, and like I'm with my guys. It's early in the morning. I didn't really. I was like, let me not hit on this woman. You feel me? Like, this is not really the way because, like, I'm with my boys and everything. So I
Mm.
leave, and then I get back to my crib. It's only like 5 minutes away. And I'm like, I gotta go back. So I go, and I go back, and I knock on this woman's door. And essentially, I'm like, you're really pretty. I don't really do this. Can I take you out on a date sometime? And she's like, sure. You know what I mean?
So you don't even like charm them up. You don't do like them no jokes, no. You just got it, no
No.
game.
No game. No game. That's the
I
go
mean,
to because I mean, like,
straightforward, yeah.
for me personally, like, if I start off something with, like, that game, I'm like, then the whole thing becomes a fucking game, right? Like, you want to start this, I want to start, like, relationships, if it's going to lead itself into that, in the
Mm.
most like honest and forward way because that's how I want the whole relationship to be, like honest and forward. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah,
So
you gotta start with what you want. That's true.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And like, what were relationships to you growing up? Like, what perspective did you have?
Growing up, I mean, I don't know. I'm heterosexual, so like I mean, as a kid, like I mean, I was a corny, and I was just like women. But like I wasn't really like dating folk. To get like this would lead itself into a different topic, but essentially it was like colorism. I feel like
Mm.
people didn't really like me or find me attractive because I was dark, or well, I mean, I would say that I'm like dark skinned, darker skinned,
Mm.
but like growing up, what we were like, it was like 2014, 2018, like even like shit 2014 to 2019. It just
Mm.
came on the Black Twitter really that like niggas like of my skin tone are like
Mm.
handsome. So like it
Yeah.
was mostly like light skinned men who like were able to jug, and you know like
Mm.
so it didn't really matter. Like I would like women, I would I didn't
Mm.
have confidence in myself, so
Mm.
that's also part of it. I wasn't
Mm.
super secure in myself, so like
Mm.
that was that. I dated a woman the very like I want to say my junior year into my senior year.
Mm.
It was a couple months, but I mean, aside from that, I'm
Mm.
like, and that was like again not the high school relationship that we see in movies. Like we didn't have sex, we just like went to like the movies a couple times. I
Mm.
think like one time, and I hung out at her house in her living room with her parents. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, it's like it
Mm.
was colorism, but yeah, I didn't,
Right.
you know, really involve myself a lot, whether that be sexually or try to like romantically involve myself with people until I got into college.
Yeah, pretty much the same on that one. And then one more question before I share my side of this. What is your like to you? What is the purpose of getting in a relationship? Like, what do you want out of it? Like, why that kind of thing? Kind of meta, but
Yeah, no, that is meta. I'm like, ooh, I don't know. Truthfully, like, some people like I'm not very religious, right? I'm like
Mm.
more in your camp, like spiritual, and
Mhm.
even then probably less than you. Um,
Mm.
I would say that like I don't know what I really like. I'm looking for connection. I once told
Mm.
somebody that I'm looking for like potency, not longevity,
Mm.
and I feel like I spoke that into existence in like my last relationship because I
Wow.
feel very like strongly about that said person, but it
Mm.
wasn't long. It was like what 3 months maybe ish,
Mm.
um, 4 months maybe or something like that. No, it was like three. So um, yeah, I guess truthfully, it's just to connect with somebody. Um, I feel like and like sharing myself with somebody. I feel personally that I'm a halfway decent friend.
Mm.
I feel like romantically I'm pretty all right. And physically I'm compatible with some people, and like I have good communication. I think it's really is just connection. I'm not necessarily looking for marriage,
Mm.
because even though like I feel most of the time I'm an old man trapped in like a young person's body, I can't
Mm.
envision myself like in the future like that. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Cuz like marriage, like even though I do know people who have been married, I know people who like were engaged, I know people who, all sorts of
Mm.
shit. I
Yeah.
like I don't know. I think
Hot take. Hot take on
yeah.
marriage. Hot take on marriage is the fact that it does not enhance your relationship, nor does it enhance you in any way, shape, or it's literally a piece of paper.
It's like financial shit. Like it's straight up like tax
Mhm.
breaks. Like
Yeah.
that's what marriage is. So I mean, I'm not like overly against marriage. I'm just not like, bro, I'm dating for marriage. Cuz some people say that and I'm like,
Mm.
no, I don't know. I guess I'm dating to connect with somebody, cuz I feel like every time I like am with somebody, I find stuff out about myself and about the other person, and like we connect and we flow.
Mm.
But mm,
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
that fully answered the question, but yeah, that's, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm sure we'll get more answers and go deeper as we go.
yeah,
Um, but I guess I can start sharing about my side of this then.
of course.
So, as far as me for dating, I want to preface by saying that I am gay, and that literally colors a lot of like what I'm going to be talking about. So,
Hmm.
for example, like growing up, like high school was like it was just like a freaking it was a mental like it was mental like Hunger Games or something for me.
For sure.
Because it was literally just like as far as relationships goes and as far as like being attracted to anyone goes, like it was just all in my head. Like I just had to keep it all to myself because I went to a Christian high school. Like there would literally be posters on the wall about like pray wait, not pray away the gay, but like pretty much in essence.
Straight up.
Yeah. Um, and like even if I did find somebody that I was interested in, there was no way for me to know if they were gay as well, because everyone else was like me, kept it all in and was like, you know, so I just like completely like checked out of high school in terms of dating.
Hmm.
Technically, I dated one girl, but it was interesting. It was like with you that kind of like friendship thing. We went to prom together. It was a really really fun time.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I
Right.
just kind of backed away because like obviously I didn't want to go much farther than that. Um, when I got to college, I felt a lot of pressure to lose my virginity,
Mm.
um, because of like society and saying like being single. I was very very insecure about being single.
Yeah.
Um, so literally when I got to college, I like like freshmen, they were all had Tinder or whatever. Like one time I was in this dorm with a bunch of girls that I met at a party, and they were all on Tinder, and they're like, "You should download it." And then fast forward. I lost my virginity, and then I don't know. It was just like a very, very superficial relationship, even if I could even call it that.
Yeah.
Um, so I lost my virginity, and honestly, I felt better afterwards, knowing that I wouldn't have to deal with that anxiety. So that was like a quick fix kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but then I was able to like turn around and like be like to my other friends who were still virgins, don't give into the pressure. It's literally it doesn't make a difference.
It doesn't. It literally doesn't.
it's
Like,
it's it's just perception. It's crazy.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, as far as the rest of college goes, leading up until now, I mean, pretty much the same trend. You would think that being in college, like people are way more open, like way more accepting of LGBTQ plus people.
Indeed.
Um, and you would think that it would be easier to like identify people, and it kind of is. But I still found myself, you know, being attracted to people that I had no idea whether they were gay or not. And then the unfortunate part for me is that every single time they ended up not being gay.
Fuck.
or in a relationship, even better.
That is
Like
the classic.
yeah, we'll be getting intimate, and I'm sure like many people deal with this, not just gay people, but literally we just be getting intimate, and then they drop, oh yeah, me and my girlfriend, or me and my yeah, or me and my boyfriend. So um, it's a thing, but all that to say, that kind of lens is what colors a lot of my experience. And in that, in like just being on the fringes, I feel like not really like in it because I've been like kind of in my mind about it. I've had a lot of time to go, like I mentioned earlier, meta with this.
Yeah.
Like think about, society as a whole. For example, why do people want a relationship in the first place? Because like a lot of my insecurity came from the fact that I assumed that I wanted a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like it's literally like, what if I didn't? Um, and then I think in asking those questions, I identified for myself why I might want a relationship. And I think it boils down to like the individuality of life, individual quality of life. Like
Mm-hmm.
you and I, for example, we're really tight, and
Yeah.
we're there to support each other,
Of course.
but we're never going to be on a day to day, like every single day kind of thing, or like like for the small stuff, like for my friend groups, all of my friends, it just seems like it's just a laugh and leave type of thing, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, we get together, and then we hang out, have fun or whatever, but then I'm back on my own. And literally in my alone time is my life. Solitude is my life.
Yeah.
And I think that connection is a relevant word for me as well. But I want something deeper. I want someone who can like, understand, my frequency, and like, they can like talk to me about what they did in solitude, and then, we can come together and really like build something awesome and create something. Um, like that's what I want. I want deeper, a deeper, more consistent person to vibe with. And that's no like discredit to friendships. Like they're
Of
absolutely
course.
amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like the state of things.
Yeah, I feel that. I understand and I also like resonate with that a little bit. Yeah, like we're self-sufficient people, but like still to a degree it's like I would love just somebody to kind of like share this energy or this space with a little, right? Like
Hmm.
that's but that's something that like especially I believe for I speak for the both of us, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Like
Hmm.
we don't just allow just anybody in our like crib. So like we not
Pretty much.
yeah, like we're not about to just, boot up the Tinder and
Mm,
then like engage with
yeah.
this and then
Oh
it's like
gosh, don't get me started on Tinder, man. This online dating scene.
bro.
Oh man, I had an epiphany like last. I think it was actually this. Was it this morning? I think it was this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm actually writing a project. I'm doing a presentation for my sexuality and diverse society class.
Oh dope.
Um, yeah, and it's probably going to be about this, which is why I recommended this topic for today. Because I'm like
Awesome.
already fired up about talking about this. But I like obviously had that dating app experience like my freshman year, and then I kept it around until like 2019 when I finally deleted it. But I had an epiphany today, and I went back to Tinder on the App Store, and I just looked at it, and I saw the pictures, like the little like bubbles with the picture, their name, their university, or whatever it may be, and then the
Mm-hmm.
little caption. And I was
Yeah.
just like, the perception that I get from looking at that bubble with the little text, that person that I'm perceiving doesn't even exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't even exist.
Yeah,
It's so
cuz they're like putting out the fucking like the parts that they believe are the most compatible with the most people out there instead of
Mhm.
just putting like their whole self, which is gonna immediately cut off certain people, right?
Mhm.
If you have expectations, if you have blah blah blah, if you work, if you whatever, they're not putting their whole self out there, which is like so you just get like this weird facsimile of somebody instead of like the wholeness of somebody, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't think any of the qualities people put out are enough to like sustain a relationship and get like, real connection. Like you being tall or short or, whatever sign or into cooking, hiking, like none of
Yeah.
that matters. You could be a, oh my gosh. Yeah, none of that actually, determines the quality of person, whether or not, the frequency is right. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I know some people. I just talked to a friend of mine earlier today, just a little bit about it, because I was like, being
Mm.
from Baltimore, which is technically considered the South, even though like I don't think of it as the South, and I don't think you think of it as the South, but
I've never heard that. What in the world?
we're below the Mason Dixon line. Technically, we are in the South.
No
Like
way.
legitimately, like
Oh, I feel segregated already. I'm
yeah, bro.
sorry.
Like theoretically, Maryland was the Confederates, bro. But that that's neither here nor there. But like,
Right.
yeah, like I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was just like, yeah, it's difficult because like interacting with women and it's just like harder. It's like weird. It's like a whole. It's I was telling her it's like a game, and I'm
Mm.
like, Tinder really is. It's like a fucking game, dog. Like it's
Yeah.
supposed to be this like very like strangely commodified thing, and like truthfully I don't know if you wanted to even get into the virginity topic or whatever
Mm.
anymore, but I like yeah, dog, like
Yeah, we'll have to make multiple episodes on this because there's so many different veins. But like, go ahead.
yeah, that like yeah, just Tinder I personally think is whack. I
Mm.
I can tell by being in the same space with somebody and like looking in their eyes, like not exactly the wholeness of their being, but like
Mm.
the like I can be like, do I am I like enraptured by this person? Do I like this person or whatever?
Mm. Yeah.
And then like who somebody is on a picture or on paper is never like really who they are like fully. So it's just a
Mm.
the whole excuse me mess of things. It's a whole mess
Yeah.
of things.
It's difficult. It's difficult. It's like then first you have like the one aspect where people are like have these preconceived notions when going into a relationship. So
Absolutely.
when they meet up, they spend a lot of time, first of all, evaluating the person to see if they meet those, preconceived notions, and
Of
then
course.
also projecting those expectations on. So when they like don't align with that, they get frustrated, or they even like just call off the entire experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is one of the like most major flaws I see in dating now. At least at our age, we're both 21. I guess
Mm.
we I don't know if we said that last time, but we're both 21.
Right.
Um and like a lot of people are just like, man, it only takes one thing and then it's just like we're out. Like that's it. Like
Mhm.
instead of being able to like effectively communicate and be like,
Mhm.
"Hey bro, like why don't we try to fix this?"
Mhm.
instead of like, oh, I can just upgrade to a new model.
I mean, that's the thing because with online dating, people feel like they have so many options. It's literally a marketplace. So,
Straight
and
up.
that's like devaluing our individuality because you think that you can just find another like whoever
Yeah.
anywhere, and that's like not how it works. We're so, different, but because we're like putting on these fronts and like presenting and putting on a performance for people, for lack of better terms, like literally shucking and jiving so that
Yeah.
so that we can get a partner. None of us really like I feel like a lot of the people who are in the dating game really aren't different because they're putting on this performance to act in a particular way, the societal standard for what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman.
Absolutely.
And maybe there is a marketplace. Maybe you do have options because everyone's acting the same, not realizing that they're acting the same.
Yeah. It's a whole thing. Like again, it's a whole like that's the it's and like some people want the game. They admire it.
Mhm.
They like I have some friends who are women that are like
Mhm.
that love the game. I don't know
Mm,
some friends who are men who love the game, and I'm like,
mm,
me personally, I don't even really like know the game. Like I don't study the
mm.
game at all. Like I'm just like, again, like I already told you, I'm raw. Like I'm like, you're pretty. You seem cool. Can I take you on a date? Yay or nay?
Yeah.
Yay or nay? You know what I mean? And it's
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a that's just difficult. It's a whole thing, and I'm sure in the gay community it's even worse because I've heard it from my folks that aren't even you that it's like
Mhm.
even worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure one thing that they've said to you is that it's heavily sex focused,
Yeah,
like heavily, heavily sex focused. Um, like no, literally, like that's the expectation, like for dates and things like that. So far as I've heard, I haven't gone that on that many dates, but in the gay community, it's like well known that if you go on a date, the expectation is that you're gonna fuck that night, and if anything becomes of that, like so be it. But maybe they just like won't talk again.
yeah,
Um, but I think for me that whole thing, like it's what you meet on. Like why are you meeting? Those expectations I feel like are what's gonna determine what will happen with your connection.
mm,
Personally for me right now, what I would love to do is just meet people, connect, resonate, ignore the labels, and just enjoy whatever it becomes.
for sure.
Because meeting on the premise of dating is just like you've already skipped so many steps and you don't even know like who this person is, and you're letting them into a close space, in your heart and things like that, and you don't know who they are. And I think a very strong foundation can be built if you start with being friends, for example,
Mm,
and building that mutual trust, building that the casual relationship, and
yeah,
then keep while maintaining like both of yours individuality. You don't have to like start identifying with each other so soon.
for sure, for sure. I agree with you. The only thing is like maybe it's different for like heterosexual relationships is
Mhm.
I normally was the like let's be like friends and then let's like get together or whatever. But I found out like the majority of the time, like especially like my women friends, like
Mhm.
most of them just like wanted to just be friends. Or even if I went in with a romantic pretense and we became
Mhm.
friends, like we ended up just being friends. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
like it's like fine because I actually have like one of my closest friends here. Like I started off, I was like, "Wow, you're really pretty. I don't know. I want to get to know you. Blah blah blah. Whatever."
Mhm.
It like didn't work out, but like we're still really close, and that's like cool.
Mhm.
But it's still like it's kind of like a balancing game because that's why.
Mhm.
And then that's why now it's like I don't even do the whole like, oh, we should be friends. Like, no, I'm like, can I take you on a date first?
Right.
Like, first and foremost,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, if that's what you want, like, yeah, definitely being straightforward is very, very important.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I don't know. I think that that's that's like a whole thing, and like
Mhm.
especially like sex and like if like I don't even know you like that, like that's difficult. Like if we're like first meeting and like cool, you're grown. I want like all the listeners to like understand like you's grown as hell. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. If you want to fuck on the first date,
Mhm.
fuck on the first date.
Yeah.
But just like me personally, that's like not really what I'm on unless like I catch a vibe that like you're like because I feel very connected to somebody when I'm having sex with them. So like
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Mhm.
like I'm not about to just be having sex with like
Mhm.
random people. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, it's like getting all up on your energy and stuff.
Yeah, it's like it's straight up like a transfer of energy.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
like if you like just like a leech and you just like weird, like I'm kind of good.
Yeah.
Like I'm very kind of good off that. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I'm just like thinking back to that. Like you said, it was a balancing game. The as far as starting off with friendships and things like that, like how that all goes. Hmm, it just varies. I think a part of where that comes from for me and why I think I resonated with it so much does stem back to, the uncertainty of, just operating in this world,
Yeah.
and not knowing if anybody is going to, well, first of all, not knowing if anybody is gay or not. Like that's the
Mm.
biggest thing. Um, so I've kind of just had to, just kind of take a half step back and just like see what becomes of it kind
Mm.
of thing. I mean, I could just go around asking everyone if they're gay or not, but who knows? Who knows?
The simplest route might be the easiest.
Maybe, maybe. Oh man. Um, yeah, and then there's also like I don't know about you, but I've had quite a time with crushes.
Mm.
I crush on people. I used to crush on people a lot. I've actually addressed it this summer, and thankfully I've healed a lot in that area.
Mm.
Um, Oh, that's the one thing I wanted to talk about. It
Mm.
was infatuation.
Oh,
Um,
okay, yeah.
Very early in relationships, people are infatuated, and what I want to talk about is like how that's literally like biological. Like the neurotransmitter oxytocin is literally like happening in the brain very early in the relationship. That's what they call in like falling in love, things like that. Like I'm head over heels for this person. We have all this passion going on, and then if you notice, like after 6 months, that passion is gone, kind of
Hmm.
thing. Like the kind of love that people experience when they're just like gushing over the person and maybe sometimes even like forsaking their other friends type of thing.
Yeah.
um but it's like that rush of like attraction that happens when you first like, I don't know, latch onto this person. And I can't speak for like it being a universal experience. But I know that for me, that's pretty much how it happened. I would like latch on to people and like this to better characterize it, fantasies is
Mm.
a important word for that too.
Yeah.
Like just you can't stop thinking about the person, like you're there on your mind all the time type of thing. Um, but yeah, that happened to me with a couple different people, and I was able to heal in that area. But then that helped me to realize like think about our parents' generation, for example. I feel like their generation was characterized by literally, getting together, getting married, and of course back then, there was a lot of religious tension, so they probably got married so that they could have sex.
Right.
um, but they did that, and then a lot of people in that generation, realized after 15 years or whatever that they had nothing in common or that they couldn't resonate about the very important things.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking it is, infatuation, that kind of thing that blinds us early on in a relationship, and then, we're not able to think, practically or think about, the things that are very important.
Yeah, that's I think, I guess what it's like 50% of all marriages end in divorce.
Mm,
Um my parents are separated or divorced. I don't think, I guess in a way it has changed how I view relationships in
mm,
general. I never really, and that makes a lot of sense, right? What you're saying. I think that's also very correct. A lot of people, like, got married, maybe not to have sex, but because they had kids together. Because they
yeah.
had kids together, they got married. You know what I mean?
Mm, yeah, that's true.
And that's like scarier still. You know what I mean? I think infatuation, I was able to very easily delineate between the two. Like I'm still able to
Mm,
delineate between the two.
that's really
Um,
great.
I'm able to like look at a woman and be like, "Oh, she's gorgeous," and know nothing of her character.
Mm.
And as soon as I like know something about her character, I'm like, "No, I'm good." Or I can be like, "Wow, she's gorgeous," and blah blah blah, right?
Mm,
So like that's interesting that it's only supposed to last like 6 months or whatever.
mm,
I don't know. I don't really lean on that. I guess like physicality is cool. I guess like I mean like sex cool, fun, dope, epic, whatever.
Mm.
But like I'm not like addicted to it. So like the look, like I of course like I beautiful like I am only in relationship with women I find attractive and not even attractive like very attractive normally.
Yeah.
Um but I not normally like this is gonna sound shitty, but like suckered into it like
Uh,
solely because of attraction. Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's just not my
I
thing.
I have to. Yeah, that's so interesting. We're having we're sharing two different perspectives here, totally, and I love that. Because I'm a very sexual being, and I have to like actively like go out of my way to like snap out of it type of thing.
For sure, for sure.
Um, literally, like when I find somebody that I find like is attractive, I have to,
Like,
yeah, like literally, like well,
mm,
yeah, I like not fiending, but
yeah,
like, but like, yeah, there's some cloudy situations going on in the mind
for sure.
area. So I have to like consciously be like, I know nothing about this person. They could be a freaking serial killer, or they could be like the best person ever, but I literally know nothing.
Mm,
And like a large part of it is like assuming that I know a lot of things that I really don't, and that just having those acknowledgments and remembering just like curbs a lot of that unbased um, attraction.
yeah.
But a question that I wanted to ask you
Hmm.
was that do you have in your life, or have you ever had in your life, a model for a healthy relationship?
That's a really good question. I guess I would automatically in my mind say no, right? But
Mm,
I am blessed. I got two sets of grandparents, even though my parents are not together.
mm,
Their parents stayed together, and like, but even then, that's complicated, right?
mm,
Because like that was so long ago.
mm,
Um, I don't know. I think a healthy relationship. I know we're talking about purely romantic relationship, but I mostly just conduct myself in the way that I would like a friend or like family, right? Like
mm,
times X amount, right? I
mm,
pay for meals. I pay for I make sure she's taken care of. She needs anything, like she calls me, I got her, like whatever.
mm,
I guess in it wasn't really a. I don't really have a model for healthy relationship, but my grandfather, I feel like my both of my grandfathers showed me like the rules of engagement on just like treating people well.
mm.
So I think that's really what it is. Um, I make sure like again like I hold the door. I try to cook and clean and all that good stuff. But
Mm.
how about you?
No.
For sure.
Yeah, literally no. I don't. I literally can't say that. Especially since the relationships that I do know that I've like witnessed, I've been like pretty close to.
Mm,
Um, I, I sometimes have gay best friend syndrome, or like
for
a
sure.
lot of people just already like group me there just because I'm gay. So like I have into a lot of details and information and things like that
For
that
sure.
I wouldn't otherwise. But because of that, I've been able to observe like a lot of relationships very closely,
Mm,
in detail. And no, I don't feel like I've seen a healthy one. That's why I asked you. I was just like, damn, like I'm really working towards something that I have yet to encounter. And with the amount of relationships that relationships being like foundational part of the human existence, you would think that we would be able to encounter like a healthy one, to understand.
yeah, I think. I mean, I'm friends with a lot of women, right? So it's
Mm,
like they speak to me about their relationship problems sometimes, and it's I don't know. It's like it's hard because like I'll look at like relationships, and a majority of like the problems are like insecurity and like fucking like lack of communication.
Mm,
And a lot of it is like people are stubborn,
mm,
like really stubborn. I don't know. I just and a lot of my friends at this stage in the game thinking that are single. I have one that's in a long term relationship, but I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, that's like the role model. You know what I mean? Not to say that they're bad
mm,
together. They're great together, but
yeah,
I'm not like,
yeah.
you know.
Mm,
Yeah. So I mean, it's I don't. I would say no, but again, like I think it's really my grandfather who just taught me like you should treat somebody like this, and that's
mm,
how I do it, right? Like
mm,
I've yet for like kind of like to cap this particular part off, like just to be like I have yet to find somebody who treats me the way that I treat them romantically, because like I'm very much like, yo, I like will engage with you in this way, very lovingly, very like
mm,
whatever. But that's because I know how, and most people like don't. Like even though I don't know how like maybe a proper relationship works, I know how to treat somebody with love and affection.
mm. Yeah, the reciprocation, I know for me is a very important thing in any relationship. Um, yeah, like I want someone to be like intuitive and like, concerned for like what's going on with me, like I am with others. Like
Absolutely.
just kind of knowing, definitely. Um, and what are your thoughts on the role of self in a relationship? Because I'm a believer in the idea that in order to have any healthy relationships, you have to do your own work. You have to have grown. You have to have a growth mindset, I feel like. Um, and you have to be able to kind of be your own coach in a way. Like, um, for for example, I feel like a lot of people get in relationships because they're trying to, fill a void or, um, like I talked about before, the projecting of expectations type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. But I feel like if you're not healed yourself, it's just going to be a hot mess trying to get in a relationship with another person.
I think that's 100% accurate. Yeah, I think that's 100% accurate. I I told somebody this, like I spend the majority of my time on like rigorous self reflection.
Mm,
Um, like I'm constantly thinking about like past mistakes, even though if they were like ages ago. I'm like, could you have handled this better? How are you doing? Whatever. I'm very in tune with myself.
mm,
So, but a lot of people don't do that. So it's very difficult. People are trying to like fill a void in themselves with a relationship instead of like improving themselves with a relationship. You know what I mean?
mm,
Like I found myself in how I care about other people.
mm,
Um, I know who I am and I know how I communicate and all that good stuff. So yeah, I think it's
mm.
super important. That being said, very very important. I think before you get into a relationship and try to share yourself with somebody, you have to know who you are. You have to be
Yeah,
you have to be
that does
confident.
sound a little bit like in line. Like that doesn't sound like the natural prerequisite.
Yeah, it sounds like very very like everybody should know this,
Hmm.
but through my own experience, I know a lot of people don't.
Yeah, and it kind of follows for a lot of people too, because they'll get in a relationship, I may or may not use this term a lot because it has connotations, but the Matrix, I feel
Mm,
like a lot of the widely held beliefs that we have as a society can be like like characterized as the Matrix, because literally feels like a social delusion. And
yeah.
then once you like step out of that, you're able to like have a little bit, help with a little bit of clarity, have a little bit of identity and peace. But that's my definition of the matrix. But in that, I'm saying that people, when they get in relationships and they're in that like matrix perception of relationships, trying to fill that void, that type of thing, they literally like the relationship goes so poorly, for example, or they end up in therapy because of the relationship, or they uncover their traumas or their insecurities that they didn't know they had. But then they realize that they have to work on themselves. And then like literally a lot of people have these horrible breakups, and I'm so sorry to hear it. I wish they didn't have to go through that to, understand the value of their own personal growth and, their own quest for themselves. But a lot of people do go through that, and all that to say that it's a natural, you know people end up there, whether they're hurt or not. A lot of people end up going into, their own personal growth, and then stepping back out into, the dating field.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, that's accurate. But I mean, I think that's what happened with my last girlfriend, which is
Mm,
good for her. I mean, I feel like I'm still pretty secure in myself. But once you
mm,
realize that like you're not where you want to be,
mm,
and like you decide like that's the time to call it, like it's
mm.
definitely a mature move. And like um I don't know, like you have to, again, like you have to look really within yourself before you
Yeah.
share it with somebody else, especially like if your energy is whack, like
Mhm.
y'all having sex, you guys are probably having unprotected sex, like
Mm,
it's gonna be weird if y'all like, if
mm,
you're like just like jealous or envious or like super like scared and weird all the time. Like
mm,
I don't know, you gotta really like care genuinely about somebody and like be like not scared to open yourself up. And like that's
mm.
scary because you can get hurt, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you said something really interesting. You said, you realize that you're not where you want to be, and then like you said that you like move on or whatever, or what to do what you need to do. But I was on the opposite side of that pretty much. I
Mm-hmm.
was for my first and only relationship, I called it off because I realized that I wasn't who I wanted to be. I wasn't who I could be, and I realized that this person that I had connected with could not follow me where I was going. And I've also realized that I attracted them not only from a place of lack, that insecurity of like not having or being a virgin and all of that, insecurity of, not having a relationship, all that stuff. Not only in that, but I attracted them at that level of growth.
Yeah.
So when I did grow, it's like abundantly clear to me now, especially now, that that relationship would have held me back so freaking much. I would not be on this call with you right now if I
Yeah.
had stayed in that relationship.
Yeah. And that's like, you know yourself enough to be like, this ain't it, chief. And then and to call it, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And everybody has their time in the limelight. Everybody reaches these conclusions in their own time.
Mhm.
So it's yeah, that makes sense. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
it's kind of sad when you see people who are lessening themselves um in that predicament, but they just like don't know that like there's other things out there yet, or they need to fix themselves first. Especially
You said,
like if you're putting out like this energy, this whack energy, and you're attracting like whack folk.
yeah, pretty much. Um, yeah. Pro tip: if you want to stop attracting the same whack people, grow, and then you'll stop attracting them. You'll stop being attracted to them. Pretty much.
Yeah,
They're attracted to you because, of a particular energy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's once that, I don't know, once you realize that, and you like not necessarily like, you kind of like correct yourself.
Mm,
Like in the scarier part is like, you're when you grow, like you're not only like, oh, these people like won't be attracted to you, like your friends won't be attracted to you. So like you gonna lose friendships too. It's gonna be
oh
scary.
gosh.
So it's like,
Yeah, I absolutely, absolutely hear that one, and I have experience with that one.
yeah,
Um, Not everybody is going to enjoy your growth. Not everybody is going to accept, if you're deciding to become a new person, the person of your dreams, the person you want to be, constantly growing in that direction. Not everyone is going to support you in that, be here for you in that. or even refrain from hating on you in that respect. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's it's a challenge, and I mean I encourage everybody
Mhm.
to, again, like if you are seeking a relationship, just think why, um,
Mhm.
and not go in there with like weird intentions,
Mhm.
or like Karen just said, from a place of lack, and like if you want to engage like in a purely sexual manner, like do it. Like we're not. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying like
Mhm.
definitely just be like conscious of yourself and the energy like around you, especially if you like
Mhm.
are tied to somebody in like in a romantic manner.
Mhm. So two things. One is a like kind of download that just hit me the other day, which is just that when you're growing, you cannot do the same things with the same people the way that you used to do them. And then there's also this quote from a song that I think is pretty relevant. It's from The Gambler by Kenny Rogers. Have you ever heard of that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I hadn't either. I think my mom shared this with me the other night, but the chorus pretty much is it's like a metaphor about gambling. You got to know when to hold them, you got to know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
As far as the never count your money when you're sitting at the table thing, I liken that, and that can be interpreted in many ways. I'm not sure, but I liken that to not letting your knee jerk reactions come out when you're in front of the person. Take the time in your solitude to evaluate the relationship, and then obviously communicate. But like um, having those reactions, those emotional reactions while you're with the person, can just make a huge mess of everything.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's what he means. Like, don't count your eggs before they've hatched. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking more like a
Mm,
don't be so eager to share with the world that like you're in this like relationship or in this thing if you're not sure yet.
mm, mm.
Um,
That's another great perspective.
yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking more like it. Because a lot of people are like, like you want to be like, oh look, everybody, I'm not lonely anymore.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, pretty much.
but
Performative.
you know,
Mm,
I don't know. Maybe think
yeah.
about that before like you after 2 weeks you post your new man or something like that. I don't know. Maybe.
Mm. Yeah, just I mean, I think that's a rule, a thing, a general thing about life. Just like if you're feeling like overwhelmed, like or if you're just unsure, like it's okay to take the time to, evaluate and become sure. Or, if you're not sure, just like chill. Freaking like just let it play out. Let it play out and see what happens. Go meditate. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we can take our times. We can take our time with these things. Not everything has to be like so fast paced, rat race, impulsive. Like, which pretty much is a lot of like what life here is like. Is a lot of fast paced.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hmm. Well,
Well, that is the end of our time. But do you have any closing thoughts?
no, I mean, I feel like we've spoken a lot. I mean, I think relationship is again encompassing a lot of things. I'm sure we're gonna do multiple
Yeah.
topics on this.
Mm-hmm.
This was just like a broad stroke, touching a little bit of everything. But yeah, just be the change that you want to see around you. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe I don't know. I lead with that in a lot of aspects of my life, but in a relationship for sure. If you like want something out of a partner, like assess in your mind like if you provide the same comforts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as an extension of that, my closing thought would definitely be figure out what's going on with you before you try and to get so invested in another person. That's a whole nother, basically, planet, a whole nother reality
Yeah,
that you're inviting into your experience. And if you don't understand your own, it might be too much. It might be too
absolutely.
much, but understand and be sure and confident in your own, and grow, understand and like what you've been through, why, what happened, and who you are.
Mm.
I think that can give you a lot more peace in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well,
Well, thank you all for listening
yes.
um, to this Untitled podcast. I'm enjoying it. I think we're having a great time here.
Yeah, this is really fun, and it's I don't know. I like listen to a lot of podcasts, but thinking of one and like speaking on one is a little different, and I think it's cool. So I
Yeah.
appreciate everybody for listening.
Yeah. Well, with that said, we'll catch you guys next time. Have a fantastic day.
Yeah, later, guys.